When you close your eyes at night, you probably assume your heart finally gets to take a break. For millions of people, closing their eyes kicks off an 8-hour period of intense cardiovascular volatility. Doctors refer to these events as sleep-related cardiac arrhythmias, abnormal heart rhythms that occur or are directly influenced by the transition into sleep. The spectrum of these electrical misfires is massive. A patient might experience harmless skipped beats, or they could suffer from severe drops in heart rate that lead to sudden cardiac arrest and nocturnal death. To understand why a resting body can trigger such electrical chaos in the heart muscle, we have to look past the heart itself and examine the hidden biological battle for control over the autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system is a scale balancing sympathetic fight or flight and parasympathetic rest and digest. In deep sleep, it tips parasympathetic. Vagal tone increases, naturally slowing the heart to a stable crawl, bradycardia. During REM sleep, brain activity spikes, firing sudden sympathetic fight or flight signals down the spine. This creates autonomic instability. The heart receives mixed signals to both speed up and slow down at the exact same time, creating an environment where premature extra contractions, called ectopic beats, can fire off, even in a healthy person. These natural stage shifts usually only cause benign misfires. However, introducing a physical disruption into this natural cycle turns a simple biological seesaw into a deadly cardiovascular cascade. That disruption usually comes in the form of obstructive sleep apnea. As the muscles relax during sleep, the soft tissue at the back of the throat collapses entirely, physically sealing off the airway and halting respiration. This chart tracks blood gases during an apnea event. Within seconds of the airway closing, blood oxygen plummets, causing hypoxia. Because the lungs cannot exhale, toxic carbon dioxide rapidly accumulates. This CO2 spike, called hypercapnia, immediately alters the chemical environment around the heart. At the same time, the diaphragm is still trying to breathe. The chest pulls forcefully against a sealed throat, creating a massive vacuum inside the chest cavity that physically stretches the muscular walls of the heart and changes the internal pressure of the thoracic cavity. Facing oxygen deprivation and physical stress, the brain enters survival mode. It triggers a sympathetic panic surge, flooding the body with adrenaline to force the person awake just enough to gasp for air. This combination of chemical changes, physical stretching, and an adrenaline dump wreaks havoc on the heart's electrical system. The rhythm slows during the suffocation and then accelerates into tachycardia or atrial fibrillation the exact second the airway opens. The heart isn't failing on its own. Its electrical tissue is being destabilized by the nervous system's desperate attempt to keep the suffocating body alive. For the patient, this entire internal cascade often registers only as waking up suddenly in the dark, gasping for air, with a racing, fluttering heartbeat and chest discomfort. To figure out what's causing these nocturnal palpitations, doctors reverse engineer the events using a sleep study, wiring a patient to an array of diagnostic sensors. They use polysomnography to continuously track and overlay multiple streams of data, brainwaves, sleep stages, and real-time oxygen levels throughout the night. Alongside that respiratory data, a continuous ECG monitor records the electrical rhythm of the heart, capturing the exact millisecond by millisecond breakdown of the cardiac cycle. By lining up the timeline of an oxygen crash with a sudden misfire on the ECG, doctors can see that these nocturnal arrhythmias are actually respiratory events manifesting as heart problems. Because the heart is reacting to an external mechanical failure, the primary intervention is often not cardiac medication. The solution is a mechanical fix, continuous positive airway pressure, commonly known as a CPAP machine. By blowing a steady stream of pressurized air down the throat, the machine acts as a pneumatic splint. It keeps the soft tissue from collapsing, which prevents the hypoxia and eliminates the sympathetic panic response that shocks the heart. Sleep is a deeply active period of cardiovascular regulation. Recognizing that a physically blocked airway drives these electrical failures allows for accurate diagnosis, effective treatment, and the prevention of sudden cardiac arrest.